Oh yeah, first prayer and Guru Pama Sambhava. Orgin Yurjun Lapshan Tam Pama Kesera Dongbola Yamtsen Chok Ngudum Ye Pamam Joni Jisu Dang Kordam Kwandro Mambu Kur Kiji Jisu Da Dubji Shinji Lobshir Shaksu Sur Guru Pema Sada Om Banzar Guru Pema Sada Om Banzar Guru Pema Sada Om Banzar Guru Pema Sada. No prayer for all the teachers. Roman Chujian Ji Pop Dana, Tuxum San Ji Kunjung on you, Ronsum Churkung, Sun Tunzap, Sahi Lama Namla Sorwa de. No prayer, he saw the Jigme Phuntsok, my root teacher. Nichenro Tsermi Shankum Sun Jakhura Tuki Shando Yilarman Jigme Phuntsok Jabla Sorwande Gorgyo Tokba Por Shinji Lo Gorgyo Tokba Por Shinji Lo Gorgyo Tokba Por Shinji Lo. Oh yeah, everybody, good morning. I don't know where you are exactly, but here, where am I? California, Santa Cruz is morning still. So for that, basically, I was everybody is a good morning. I hope you all doing well and healthy, happy. If you are a Dharma practitioner, I hope you're doing a wonderful practice, have amazing realizations you have. And yeah, and then thank you so much to TLC. Give me this opportunity again to talk impermanence, self, and the Guru. And it is a very important topic, and we need to learning impermanence, which is we are living in it. How we cannot learn that, right? And so if we try to avoid to learning impermanence, and that's something like we pretend we are like a robot or rock or something like that. As long as we have a consciousness, and things all the time change. We are changed, right? We are changing. I wasn't born with a white beard, this kind of hair, wrinkles over my face. I was born with a baby who even can't, up at his head, like almost a piece, like, little, like a meat or something. Can't even walk, can't even talk, maybe little cry, who knows? And this way to changings continue. And through the changings, not my physical change, but Lord, my perspective changes, my mind changes, the way of I think changes, there were things of I touched changes. So therefore, it's because I looking back in my life, and there's nothing permanent, nothing is independent. Everything is because temporary, everything is changes. I'm changed, my mind change, my thinking change, my environment change all the time. So therefore, it's because impermanent is we don't need really much talk in generally. Then of course you all coming from the West, and the society, universities talking about, and the changings. Yeah, you guys study about chemistry. Yeah, things change, put together, some things put together as changes all the time happen. Perhaps you guys study human history, the world history. Yeah, change things, right? All the time. That's where you study. You guys, I'm sure, study evolutionary study in your school. Change, yeah? Things change. Everything we come from change. So therefore, it's because impermanent, talking impermanent is not something Buddhist thing. It's not something because it's a new concept. It's something we talk about, everybody talk. But what is the difference is Buddhist and science talk impermanent, or evolution theory, or, and chemistry, or quantum physics talking. What's the difference is impermanent is something we can incredible useful, meaningful. Impermanent we can practice. Practice bring us liberation, and impermanent give us opportunity to awakening. Impermanent is a treasure. Impermanent is the tool of each of us to awakening, perfect Buddhahood. So therefore, is Buddhism, we use impermanence as practice, as a realization, as a perfect view to the way of things to see. Yet all these appearances appear, the way of our see, our eyes project, the way of we view is not the reality, right? So therefore, it's because, as just I mentioned, you study all this regarding the evolution theory. Wasn't things the same, yeah? Million years to now, there's no dinosaurs anymore. We are not a monkey anymore. Things have changed, right? So therefore, it's because those things, and to now how we can use the impermanent, how we change it. We wasn't, exist 100 years ago, million years ago, 2,000 years ago. We, and when we started, and since we are started our life, the life we remember, and how we change it physically, mentally, emotionally, how we changed. When this changes, how much give us wisdom, education, learning, grow, how much, yeah? And so therefore is we need to, today I'm going to teach and talk about, first I want to, before is my main subject, I want a little bit everybody can think about use how to meditate impermanent. Because Buddha's in the beginning, he teaching about Four Noble Truth. It's impermanent, he's talking about. The way of Buddha is said, he was in renunciation, or he was to start the journey of freedom. It's finding because he see things impermanent. He saw birth, death, aging, and sickness. Those is become the kind of evoking in the truth of awakening him. When he see this is changing, is to happening for everyone, and now this is those things and give him to opportunity to be awakening. So therefore, impermanent is opportunity to learning and opportunity to realizing, opportunity to awakening from our illusion, from ignorance. So therefore, is impermanent is the most important subject, Sutrayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Oh, Buddhism, whenever you study Buddhism, and they start with impermanence, because we thought, understand impermanence, we never practice, we never study, right? Lazy take place, or wandering take place, or the idea of everything as permanent take place. So therefore, when we study impermanent, put that in our own life, then we know impermanent and taking place. So then as a Dharma practitioner, when the moment we face in the ultimate impermanent, the last kind of impermanent we separate in this world, in that moment, what is the most critical in our life? Wealth, power, money, possession? Nothing will be benefit. There's only one thing can benefit, our own journey, our realization, our virtuous mantra imprint, or our, learning experience about how to deal with the last breath. That is because only we can rely upon, that's only we can depend in our last breath. That's a fact, that's the truth. So therefore, it's because right now, each of us have a special human intelligence, right? Human intelligence is marvelous. Human intelligence is very special because we can really deeper, we can inquiry, we can develop, we can understand. No one else can develop we humans think. One science, somebody said, we humans have the biggest head among all the animals or beings. I mean, there's a big, in the head, like elephant, but measured by their own size of a body, we humans have, the biggest head. So therefore we have, bigger thinking. Our thinking is not short-sighted. Our thinking capacity is long, interesting, right? So therefore, as in humans, we can think about when I will be old, when I retirement, I will do this, I will plan that, I will save money, I will do this, that. We can think and we will save, we will kind of prepared, but in our humans are somehow not prepared to death. Our humans have scared or afraid or, whatever reason, everybody try to avoid that, the most important event in our life. Will be faced. Everybody will be faced about the last breath. But no one want to talk about that because either you're scared or uncomfortable or, something not want to talk about it or frustrating to talk about that or scared, afraid, who knows? But we Buddhists, we will talk that because it is the most important event in our life. We will be, in the face. So therefore, it's because first, impermanent today, we're not talking about the change of the seasons, the weathers, and then, things like that. We're talking about today and the change of our own self, start from there. For that, in our tradition, in the Vajrayana tradition, there's many ways you can meditate impermanent. There are so many teachings, so many techniques. But there's a simple thing, is in Guru Pamma Sangpa's teaching about impermanent. I want to share with you that a little bit. And not much details, our time. I would like a little bit and share with how you can meditate impermanent first. It is important, like any formal meditation, like, choosing an environment and the perfect place and, then ready, prepared. First, motivation, intention, any practice is always required, is necessary, as long as you practice Vajrayana Mahayana. And therefore, it's because when you are learning about to understand about perfect and permanent for the sake of self and all the rest of sentient beings. So therefore, I'm going to practice or meditation contemplation about impermanent for my own well-being and the well-being of all sentient beings. So when we do that, then where is the best environment you meditate impermanent? Where you guys think right now? Shining room, beautiful place, maybe near the beach. Can be anywhere, but it's most important in the Tibetan case where we meditate. And there is evening, sunset time. It's interesting, yeah, because we are different in the mindset, because in the Westerns and love to go to watching sunset. Something is romantic, very romantic, yeah, very beautiful, very cozy in that. Tibetans think that's like, in the like alarm clock of death and dying and the last day, or, they show us impermanent. So therefore, is that evening, usually sunset, is the time to meditate about impermanent in Tibetan places. So in what the lamas usually let the students, when it is sunset, and that around, when the sun's kind of yellow, almost, over the mountain in Tibetan case, or here, California, there's oceans, and above ocean almost is ready set, the sun. And then the sky is a little bit orangey, and one of kind of the east side is a little bit more darker, or, on the west, a little bit yellowishy like that. And that kind of a place is by oneself, by oneself. Places like that, and there's maybe you can hear few birds shooting or singing, maybe owls starting owling, I don't know what to say, or, and maybe coyotes, crying, whatever that be, maybe little bit wind is blowing in that time. Maybe we are near the beach and the ocean waves, uh, one by one, like a noise, shawl, something like that. But there's no one else by yourself, and to think and there and meditate. The sun is rising this morning, now is time and setting, like that, and how it changes this morning to until now. The sun is morning, bright, rise through, come in the middle, now noon, then to afternoon, then now is time, is the sun is set. How impermanent the day started. And then look your own, in the meditate there, everything just kind of in there, one place, you and the moon, the sun, or you in the sky, or you in the space, by and yourself, and listen all like this nature noises, the bird and the wind, the ocean waves, and whatever that be. And by all these things and by yourself, and then you start and walking. This is all meditate. You start in the walking, visualize, you start walking. There's no really direction you go, and just start, and from there you want to go somewhere in this very quiet and very wandered land. There's no people, no any pet or any companions, but there's a place and that kind of time, and to ready you are and walking. You don't know which direction you're going, which, and place. There's no aiming, no really, and destination and prefer per se to choose. Just start, and you are walking. And then suddenly there's a little bit, storming, cloudy, like a moisture, yeah, and this clothing, things like that. You don't see so much in the very distance like that, but you are start in the walking. And you're walking in toward and the kind of north, and you're walking in toward the north, suddenly, and you are, and there's a cliff, there's a place, and a very slippery. And there, in the moment that you find, and there's a place, and hold and a bunch of grass in your hand, bunch. But the moment you realize you are in the cliff, really high in the cliff, in the middle of the cliff, when you look downwards, it's very deep. You don't know how deep. It's really, really deep. And when you look up, only you see the sky. But you are in the middle of that cliff. But there's still continue this wind is blowing, noises of kind of, waves, something like that. But there's no one else. You have full of grass in your hand, and at that moment you are just in the middle of the cliff, very slippery. Very slippery that, and there's no way you can save yourself, and just hanging with that and that grass, with full grass within your hand. in that moment, there's two kind of a break in the between, and that your left side, your right side, your hand, left side hand, there's two cracks, two crackers, and in the one side, coming out one white mouse, and cutting one grass and went back. And then the other side and the black mouse come in the one cut. This is, grass is only your life depend. But this mouse is cutting and, one by one. And there's nothing you can do. There's no cell phone with you. You cannot call emergency. You cannot 911 say, hey, please send a helicopter to here to protect me. You are just there yourself and, and watching about that mouse is what doing. That's terrifying, isn't it? That is terrifying. And it's so scared. You don't know how to dip if you are falling down. And there's nowhere else to go if that cutting. And that time, and then your mind, if somebody believers, somebody who are refugee, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, or whatever there, and then that time only your mind have, there's prayers will come. There's a sense of, refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, like that. But those mouths continue coming and through, and to, taking and one by one, and that moment, if you are prayer, for example, and you are Vajrayana, Guru Pamma Sambhavam, Guru Rinpoche, or you have a root Guru, and you are with in that time, there's no many things you can think, because there's no, as I said, you don't have cell phone, you cannot call anybody, nobody can hear you. Only that time your hope is your own guru. That time your hope is your object, unmistakable refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And so on that time your mind is sincerely, you will pray, engage with your devotion, with your truly longing of to free me from this, my guru. That's all your mind come. And then visualize your guru manifesting above, or Guru Rinpoche Pamma Sambhava, or Buddha Shakyamuni, or Arya Tara, or Avalokiteshvara, whatever deity you usually in practice, or manifest that with on the lotus desk, lotus desk above you. That guru, or that Buddha, or that Bodhisattva's heart, and from the heart to radiate one light beam, and radiate one light of a beam, and touch your heart. And that moment, and the mouse is done to eat, you are falling, and the guru pulling you out from in that cliff. And you are liberated from the fear, from in that falling in that cliff, in that moment. And you, from your own heart, radiate many light like that guru light to all those sentient beings who going to in that kind of situation, and with the terrifying, but there's no any options, choices, and that moment you to liberate of unnumberless or unmeasurable of sentient beings through radiate from your heart. And you visualize that is the way of we meditate about how we dealing with and the one about impermanent, and death and dying. Very powerful, because if you look at that, is the Guru Pamma Sambhava's treasure, and Karma Lampa's revealed the Tibetan original of the book of death and dying, and then in the first chapter, there's a chapter of a preliminary teaching, and in the preliminary teaching of the impermanent chapter shows that meditation, and shows, and that's Guru Rinpoche's his original teaching. So therefore, this is very powerful. So now, because and with that, then because now we need to actual today's my subject and our self impermanent and our guru. Okay. So like that, and so that is little meditation. I think is for me, it's very powerful, because when I visualize that, when I meditate that, as I mentioned, and that kind of period, that moment, There's no any other than guru. There's no hope, no any, and the hope for because I can pay money, somebody rescue me, or I can call 911. There's no like that. Because then there's only your faith, there's only your devotion, your practice, your meditation, your own realization is the only way we can liberate ourselves in that kind of in a moment. So therefore, is because it's very powerful, and when you practice that, and so therefore I mentioned where you can learn that and study more further, and then you can see what this teaching makes sense or not. If you never put in your heart or practice, then does make sense or not, you never experience, right? And it doesn't matter somebody said, hey, this chocolate is really sweet or sour or, and yummy. You never test that, then you never know real truth, the test. So therefore is in order to experience oneself and to practice, put those teachings in your heart and to make experiment and to experience, that's important. So here and today I want permanent, as I mentioned, and permanent is something not, in difficult to think. Sometimes for Tibetan, there's a way to practice people. Doku, that's not only the Maya and Vajrayana teachings, and Sutra are very common in Buddha to let his disciples, followers, and let go to in cemeteries to meditate and to look, things like today in America, and cemetery is beautiful, like a garden. I really thought before I come to America for a long time, those beautiful gardens. This so beautiful garden, and but I didn't know cemetery. And later I knew those beautiful gardens I thought was a cemetery. And but even though like beautiful and places, just look there, read those some, said from something to, to 2000, 2013 or 1999 to 1998 or 1995 to, something. What that shows us, what tells that when you read that was said somebody born from and death in that time, and what that shows for us, because that shows we are the same. One day we are, either you are end up with the cemetery or not, but we are born from some 1990 whatever, to something. So therefore, it's because those very wonderful indicate with to understand we are same page, same loop, same kind of, and together in this kind of samsaric nest. We are not outside of the nest. We are inside that kind of, network. In that network, we are in the network of when the cemeteries said somebody born 1970, to 1999. Whoa, yeah, I'm in around that time. Hey, so fortunate I'm still alive. That person's 1970 and to 1989, gone already. I'm still alive. Very fortunate, right? Isn't that we are fortunate we are still alive? That is important. We need to understand, because when you go to cemeteries, when you read about their, names and their years, and then often for me, oh, that's younger than me. That's my age. But I'm still alive. But we are same human being. So I can be, one of them, right? But I'm still alive. So therefore, but eventually I'm also be one of them. I need to go. So that is important to kind of to acknowledge and generally. And so therefore, sometimes to see ourselves like, reflection with, the cemeteries to we are end up that. Or there sometimes we are family, friend members, and to, and pass away, and we cremated, and the ashes we throw in the ocean or air. Oh, these ashes were and dissolving into the earth to in the space. Oh, that time I'm one day, I'm like this ash. Powerful meditation, powerful practice. Many people don't think I'm not the ash, never I'm going to be. That's not the logic. That's not the logic. The logic is one day we will going to be the ash too, and like that. That's not somebody threaten us or scared, like that. That's going to be, reality. And so therefore is in that. So therefore is as mentioned before, death is natural, nature will come sooner or later. No one cannot be avoid that. Doesn't matter how powerful you are, how many militaries you have, how rich you are, how many millions or billions of money you have in your bank, or how spiritual you are, how great meditator you are. You cannot avoid in this physical dissolution. There's no way you cannot. So therefore, it's because, and one way we can look, oh, this natural process, like as mentioned before, like we talking about evolution theory, like that. Oh, changings in this kind of a circle, and life and death are natural, and one is because in the nature of in the process. So therefore, it is important to understand that we are not alone who is going to that journey. Our loved ones not alone in this journey. The friend we lost is not alone in that journey, because as a matter of fact, when it comes to in our loop, in our, in the relatives, family, friend, and that time is we can be very sensitive and noticing, and pay attention, but that's happened all the time in the world, every moment, every second, and there's somebody in the dying and the dead, all 24 hours. So therefore is because we are in this circle, in this loop. That's important. So therefore is Guru Pama Sangbawa, his teaching said, Chiwa mart namchi chamin chirkin nimit, chiwi kapsu tambi chukwana marto kongi mapamba. These three things he said, and to agree yourself, namchi chamit means uncertainty. The death and dying is very uncertainty. Very uncertain, very uncertain. Then when and how or what circumstances, we don't know. So therefore, is namchichami, chirking nimit means, we no idea what is the cause, what is the circumstances of the cause of our death and dying. So therefore, is first very certain, death, dying is very certain. Even that time when comes, the death is a rise. When is that in the moment when we face? Who can help? Money, possession, wealth, friend, doctor, nurse? You need to go to head the list. All the list you can think, protect your own body. Everything you go to list. And then finally, you conclusion that no one can protect. Then now is you are alone. So who can put still you have awareness, your consciousness is to continue the journey. So therefore, so your own consciousness, your own mental consciousness, who can guide you, who can protect you, who can master your, your journey, right? So therefore, is the conclusion is one's own self is the really the ultimate savior, ultimate protector, ultimate guide. So then, because for that, Buddha Dharma and Buddha, through his kindness, and taught us how we can to how the realization of death, how we can do that time, like that. So therefore is why we say lamas often people who interest in Dharma practice, you need to practice. And the Dharma is not just only hearing or listening, because Dharma is something you can really put in your heart, you can realizing, and and those realizations in terms like that serve you, benefit you. So therefore, it's because we always begging people to practice the Dharma, because we know one day everybody need that wisdom, that knowledge will benefit. So therefore, it's because this subject, this course, this program very important because this program can help people immense of directly helps, because normally, many teachings, meditation, think like that. And many people, these days meditation is just for fun and, little bit psychological support and like things like that, almost like psychology of Buddhism. That's not where Buddhism works. And Buddhism is to understand one's own mind on how to transform our mind into either Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, or Nirmanakaya. We have these choices, we have these freedoms and opportunities. So therefore, it's because, the death, dying, learning is number one important. So here, now we need to look at that. We are in this kind of network, this kind of loop. So we cannot avoid. And our human mind, we like common sense, we like logic, we love logic, and that's the work is in our human mind. So you can use your own logic. Any human being, you have example to live without die. There's an example, somebody never die, somebody forever live. If there's one example, then maybe you are one of them. You can think about, okay, I'm not going to die, like that. Because if you don't find any example, somebody never die. There's no example in the world, the powerful people, spiritual people, or, the wealthy people. You don't have example one you cannot find. That means we are in that loop. So one day we also need to go. So that is important. So therefore, is when we have that kind of knowledge, then number one, and the death and dying, so something is not unacceptable. Something we can accept because it is the nature of cycle. Somebody who wants today don't want to become in the tomorrow, or somebody don't want to become in the night. Somebody always want to be the day, the light. You think that's logic? That works? Maybe you can make light somewhere, but if actually the circle of the day and night, somebody said, I don't want to night, I only want the day. Maybe for temporarily you move to Alaska or somewhere, but it's not really, or you can fly east to west all the time in the sky, So otherwise, the solar system is a continuous move. So in the today, this day, then tomorrow, another day is it comes. So, but usually when we look, that is important theory. That is very important theory to understand how you accept death and dying. If you accept the day, today and tomorrow, you know what two days exist. If today does not exist, is tomorrow exist? Yesterday exist, right? Yesterday exists because today exists. If today exists, then tomorrow can be exist. If you are exist today, that means you have a past. And if you exist today, you have exist next, like tomorrow. If you know how to go to the length from yesterday to tomorrow, I'm sure you scientifically you have some answers. Yeah, in general. But you don't have the subtle of the answers of how to the length. Yes, everybody go to the time. Yes, the past, present. You say in the time. Then we can give a challenge. And Madhya Magga give a challenge. Where is the time? Where's the present? Okay, there always we are say, because we are this present, this century. So we always said this past century. We will say in the next century, because this kind of assumption indicate with this past, present centuries, because this century we are living in it. That's what our, and to conversation talk past and future century. Then we talk about last year, next year, because why we can talk? Because we're living in this year. right? If you are not living in this year, then you cannot talk about the last year, or you cannot talk about the next year. Then you are, this week, you are living in this week, because that's why you can talk in the last week and the next week, right? Then you can talk about today because you have yesterday and you did have tomorrow. But how this linked, the continuity of this moment, of to the moment, how to this kind of linked into today. So you need to find today, you need to find in your present, right? Today is already morning is past, evening not come yet. You are in the none. You are in the somewhere in the, in the almost kind of none. Yeah, and for me, right now, I think about we are 10, 11, about 11. Where's what 11 right now? Because there was before 11, 10, then later 12, not yet come. You are living between there. So that's why you can talk. But always for us, important, isn't it? Important our past, where we come from, but it's more important for our future. Do you think your time next hour after this teaching, you have plans? You have plans for dinner, you have plans to lunch, you have plans to go walk, you take your dog to walk, you have things to do, call your friend, go to grocery store, right? You have list. Why? Because you have a present. That's why you have very important and the plans for your future. So therefore, so right now we are in our human life, we are living and we are alive. Our life is in the middle. We are always in the present. So in the past, important, yes, we have, as mentioned, childhood to until now, we have a history, we have stories, we have, and all these our memories, but we have so important for futures, our plans, right? So that is how goes our life to goes exactly if you understand. More our future lives important than our past lives. And this today, everything is depend on your future, right? What do you do later? How many lists do you have? Did you have, grocery store list? You have in your list, you are going to walk. You're taking your dog to walk. You have maybe mow your grass. Are you going to read a movie? Are you reading a book or watching movie, or your TV show is something you look forward later? So those is because your future plans, right? But what is your plan for your next life? Where you go? How you do? What is your list? Do you have list? That is more important than is you have a list later this afternoon to do, or next week, next month, next year. Because this continue of the consciousness journey is the light, the journey of the continuity of the time. Yeah, time didn't stop tomorrow. When we said tomorrow, since this is end. No, then after that, the tomorrow comes. Then after that, another tomorrow comes. So therefore, it's when we have that wisdom, that knowledge to understand and basic the theory of the time, you understand your own mind, how consciousness works from child to today. It's the same continuity, the same continuity. But our physical changes, the weather changes, like sometimes I joke, people, when you get in the river, there's a beautiful river going. The moment you get there, you put a leaf on the river, and just like that, already the leaf is far from you. But you don't to pay attention, the same river, just when you get there, there's a river. When you leave, there's the river. You don't know the continuity of this movement. You just same river, same water. That's our illusion where it started, and the same everything same. I am same person. So we started this self-grasping from, and the moment we are deluded our mind by this illusory manifestation, how it appears, then we think everything is same. So we still think I am same person, right? Like when we get the river side, and then when we leave, we think same river. Even all ready to go those waters, an ocean or lake or somewhere a long time ago, but you think same person, same river. So therefore, we always have that in the delusion. Oh, same. I am same person. So therefore, we carry all this kind of the thoughts and sometimes unnecessary and traumas, toxic etc. Because it's very difficult to let it go because we have no realization. So therefore, the moment of death, let difficult, the moment most of the painful is let go. We can't let go because we have grasping, a self-grasping. We have this kind of the clinging to existence. I don't want to go. That's all we think. I don't want to pain. I don't know what's happening next, right? Because no knowledge, no wisdom. So then people, when talk about the death and dying, freak out, scared. So better to avoid, okay, whatever. Ignore that. Don't talk about it. That's a really scary thing. But Buddhists don't see that. So therefore, it's Milarepa, who said, when he was, when he interested in Dharma, his early life, his challenge. His very early childhood is wonderful, but then his father died, the uncle causes a lot of troubles. I think but then he has wanted to fight with his enemies and study black magic like that. Then later he has a renunciation and he really too guilty his activities. And then he wanted to truly practice, the Dharma. Then in that time, then he said, and he was so scared death and dying because he have so much guilt, so much disappointment in his life, so much negative in his carry through his own actions. Then he was so scared in death. So he said, I run and for the death and the mountains, the valleys, the, ascetic places. And finally he said, and nga chiwan jigni relap to 2020 worth it or something. And after I run and look and also he run means not just physically, through his emotion and mentally, through realization, researching to the answers. Finally, he said, I found the deathless of death as I lost my fear. Death is concept. Death is illusion. So therefore, is I no longer afraid of death. I'm freedom from the afraid of fear of the death. That is how Dharma practitioners do. Because first to understand death, then scared, then look at the answers, how you free yourself from the afraid of the death. When you find we are all deathless, then because this self-grasping me exists in this kind of temporary world, it's just merged into the space, right? So therefore, is because like Milarepa, what is mentioned, and like that. So and many, and the great masters said, as Dharma practitioners, and when we come to one's own self, and there's the three kind of practitioners, and the great Dharma practitioners, actually, when times come, they really look forward. Why? They have confidence. They have a realization. So therefore, they are look forward. Because they are look forward, they are tired of the world. They're boring and they're exhaustion because their human body is declining. No. They have realization. So therefore, is and some of the teachings said, the death is for the yogis. for the yoginis is to not just death, it's awakening. It's opportunity to become awakening, right? So therefore, is as ordinary, we thought training the mind, we thought realization, that is another, and the wandering lost, and another kind of lost and wandering, in the kind of wonderland and the lost. But those who have a realization is to opportunity to perfect awakening. So therefore, it's a namjor sanchong gyawayin, and for the yogis who are opportunity to perfect obtain awakening. So here, and therefore, is because in our view, what is the death? What kind of level we have? One, to understand, and the death is another, layer of to awakening. And then that people is to, of course, you are going to be Buddha. You are this physical condition, and at the moment you are separate, then you are obtained perfect Buddhahood. You can imagine that excitement. Then some is to, another in a special journey in that person, like Nagarjuna, who said, like, this human body is a guest house. The consciousness is like a guest. So if you are on the journey, traveler in the world, you have good, the preparation for your journey. In this guest, when you leave, then you book another and the nice and guest house. Then you are confident in the journey. Your journey is confident. You are very secured, very safe, and you look forward and next to your arrival in the place. You are very certain. You booked your vacation. Oh, I have this, you have expectation there. But those people who don't have any preparation and no choice and going to wandering the world, and every move is a scary move. Every place you go, you don't know what you are going to be faced. Unknown, unknown, dark, lost. So therefore, it's because to understand in the self and the nature of impermanent is prepared to our continued journey, like traveling. Next guest house, next place where you're going to land. So that's second. Like, in the person who have a realization of death, of self. Then the third one, the third person, who is like, when you go to in the places, you are living in that place, friend or land, with very happy, very joyfully. Oh, what my time as long as I was here. Oh, that's wonderful. The companions, the host, and the people, the nature, the environment, so wonderful, and the joyfully you separate with that place. That is, and when in the Dharma we said, a leisure practitioner, at least as a Dharma practitioner, when we live in this world, in that time, and with joyfully, with gratefully, with all gratitude to come in this world, to meet amazing people, have great opportunities. There's no regret or disappointment in that moment. Leave everything behind with free and joyfully. No attachment, aversion, or clinging towards anything, anyone, and everything now, time to goodbye with joy. Then look back, life was, one point. I come, whatever the age. Oh, it was wonderful. I have a good friend, a good family, good pet. Many times we change so many pets. They are wonderful, and the environment, the views, oh, wonderful. And now time to go. There's no reason to attachment, to hang out. No reason to be tight with that. Oh, that is because great Dharma practitioners and die with like that. So if we don't have anything, and that is tough. And now you are hanging with, certain attachment, either family, friend, belongings, possession, but can't take anything. So that is called suffering. That tightness, that grasping, that clinging towards the sensory object, the object of your attachment, the object of your aversion. Oh, that is very hard. That's very difficult at that time, let go. So therefore is to understand the permanent, to understand the options we have, and then to, liberate ourselves from the impermanent. Then second, our and today the topic, losing our guru. I have a couple, stories, but also because that what's called the Buddhist way first, I will understand about the guru and then permanent, okay? So when Buddha near the passing away, in 81 years old, when Buddha in Kushinagar in India and Samchok Chung, Tibetan, and then there's Shariputra, Monger, or the Ananda, many his Bhikshus followers. The Ananda particularly very sad to losing in the Buddha. He feel like losing the sun forever in the light, and so then he was for weeks and crying and sulking, and then to request the Buddha to not die. You are Buddha, you can, to not die. You have special energy, power, please to live longer. Then the Buddha said, oh, Ananda, and the nature and permanent is even Buddha cannot avoid. So therefore, but you don't need to be inside. In future, continue. I will remain in order to different performing, different way to benefit, like you and those who see me, those who is follow me, those who I can benefit. I continue remain in the different form, different light. So that's Ananda, and very helpful. There's some there's a sutra about in that. I'm sure many of you know that. So in that, what this means in the Buddha, one way we can think, this is physical, as mentioned, yes, changes like a Buddha or anyone. But this Buddha's like a compassion, the quality, a latent qualities continue remain in different form in order to benefit different sentient beings. So, and for me in my life, I lost many my teachers, like early time, like my from Mundo teacher, my many many important teachers, my Dzogchen lineage teachers. Then my guru, his HH Jigme Phuntsok, and more than 10 years, I was in the spent time in the Larung Gar, received the teachings, empowerment, paid instructions for 10 years. And take care by his HH Jigme Phuntsok, the love and kindness and compassion for all of us, Larung lamas and monks. And so therefore it's for me and my teacher is for my world and the truth. And sometimes I mention to people, I mean, it's Guru Rinpoche Pamma Sambhava as in the Nyingma, and we are, and he's the embodiment of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then Buddha Shakyamuni, for example. And then Indian great master Nagarjuna, like Shanti, there were many. But for me, I always feel that so fortunate I was to meet my guru. I was totally satisfied. I'm never unsatisfied to, one teacher or his Jigme Phuntsok, like I need another one or another wish to Guru Rinpoche, I wish to Buddha Shakyamuni, or never thought that because I feel he's for everyone. He's Guru Pamasambhava, he's the Buddha Shakyamuni, he's Nagarjuna, he's Shantideva. He's an embodiment of all the Buddhas and the Vajradharas and Bodhisattvas. So therefore, it's because I feel very fortunate. But in 2004, and I'm not telling all the long story, but anyway, 2004, His Holiness passed away. And that time, in the moment, really feel lost the world, like, become is like not like an orphan, something like, and I'm alone in the world. My world is just suddenly like eclipse, like in the place. And just no any other concept and thought, and just I was hours in the sulking and crying and almost faint and things like that, and my friend and helps, like that. But anyway, and after that, then it's years passed, almost 20 years, and he's on the Jigme Phuntsok and the past nirvana. But the truth, I will tell you, because every year does not hold, goes the years. My heart and too close my teacher and closer. Never go to distance. My father, my beloved father, my both parents missing. My mother's still alive. My father, 2016, in the past away. I was in Spokane, Washington. And I was sad, yes, I wasn't there, but I did visit, and my father went sick in Tibet, 2014, 15, like that. But when he passed in the way, and I wasn't there, and myself. But I, know that's the natural process. There's nothing I can do. It's not helpful for me to, I wasn't there, to regret, and I'm a bad person, not there when my father. Never have those. But then I thought, yes, he's very fortunate. He born in, Tibet. He met many great lamas, and he has a lot, virtues in his life. Now my job is to do more virtuous activities in order to dedicate for my father's to continue the journey. Now my family did, I did. I right away to through Champa Rinpoche in India. I sent money to ask Dalai Lama to pray. Many great masters in India, Bhutan or everywhere places I can reach, and through my friends. And I ask, in the prayers do certain, and the rituals of my father's continue. And then that, and then of course, this nature of relationship, father and the son, and grow up together, who is loving, who's very caring. And so I miss him sometimes in my dreams, sometimes my father, like that. But as years go past, and not so much miss, because I often think about his kindness, his compassion, his caring, his loving, and then I do virtues like this teaching. I dedicate to my father, mother, all sentient beings, and so then I do any wholesome, any virtuous activities, and I dedicate to that. And then there's not so much, other things, and like that. And I have a perfect memory, my father, who he is, what he look like, all this. But there's not so much, it's something, close or distance. Just one time he was my father, like like he is gone now. But my teacher in my heart never goes. And it never goes, and it never, it's also never pain anymore, never hurt anymore, because it's my realization, my Guru Yoga, and my practice. So my devotion is I grow older, and I think a little bit better. So of course, sometimes there's a dream, and sometimes good and bad, whatever, and I can receive some teachings, some guidance, but often it's my level, yet not that much receive as a compare, and many my Dharma brothers when we share in our teachers. Some my Dharma brothers receive teachings from his own Jigme Phuntsok more than they receive teachings from their life. So therefore, there's many levels, maybe many realms we can communicate with our, teachers. So therefore, it's in this spiritual world, our teacher we never lost, because it's our own realization and our own faith. But the physical world, yes, like anything else, we lost. That the part is the most hard time for us. Because another time yesterday I mentioned when Kathok Getse Rinpoche, I think he also did a talk here in this program, this wonderful program. And His Holiness Kathok Getse Rinpoche, he's like my father, like in the way of he cherishing, the way of he care, for me, when I come to in the West, when I went in pilgrimage India, wherever I go, and outside of the Tibet, he's the one only I ask the guidance, spiritual world, anything I need to help. I reach him out, and he care me like his only son, like that. And so very loving. Of course, as a teacher, when I would be with him, I never want to leave, and just this kind of energy has to loving, caring. When you next to him, you want to forever be in there with him, like that. But when when I heard, I was in Hawaii in the morning, I wake up, and then the text messages said he was in a fall accident, and Getse Rinpoche maybe, get bad injured, maybe no hope to live, and such, bad news. I was really, hurt, very painful. And not just my attachment was really interesting because not I lost his so, awakening and the grade of a master in the lucid in the world. It's so, incredibly, lost. But in me, so that I lost my, in the teacher, my friend, my, and kind of guardian and like that. It's come to me. So in that moment, my pain is not because I lose a treasure of the world, and for the world to lose a treasure, but my pain is due because I lost my teacher. And I captured that moment because I feel that. But anyway, I contact many people, reach out and how he died, how he falls, and there's any hope, can we hire in the better medicines, doctors like that. I reach out to many people in that moment. But my pain, and I realized because I lost, because he's my best friend, he's my guru, my everything. I can, anytime I have problems, even if like today, if he's alive before we talk, perhaps I will call him talk. Hey, I needed to talk in the TLC, to the impermanent self and guru, and the Rinpoche place in the prayer for me to benefit those people and do have any to insight to me to what I talk, something like that. I always do, when he's live. Then Rinpoche give me some, advice and this, remind me some my motivation, how to do, things like that. And then I to start my teachings. So then I feel, the moment and the Rinpoche lost, and I feel really painful and very hurt. And but that moment, I realize it's because all is my own attachment. My own attachment because I feel is I lost my friend. So all is connected with I. It's me and my. I mean, you can imagine like his own Kathok Getse Rinpoche. He's truly, like a true Vijayadhara. And, his own is Dalai Lama and mentioned his best friend. And they receive teachings and giving important sacred Dzogchen teachings, giving back and forth. The Dalai Lamas, and receiving the Dzogchen teachings from Kathok Getse Rinpoche, like this kind of level of Vijayadhara. And he lost Kathok Getse Rinpoche, so not lost by just Lakshey Zangpo and a friend, but the world treasure. But and I didn't think that at that moment. I feel I don't have any friend, any and teacher, anyone I can ask questions, and that is my painful, and so therefore in that moment, and then I kind of captured that my kind of feeling, my emotion is to do with me. And so therefore we started the virtue practice like that, and I request Lama Tamilo to we can practice an ODD. I can sponsor at that time Rinpoche, and I did, and so I don't know any one of you joined that, and so therefore like that, then virtuous. Then and for a while because almost after that. Oh, not so much, Dharma center teaching, things not so much meaningful, like, great master like this live, us and this kind of degeneration time and, what we can benefit, like almost discouraging into my Dharma activities because he's, sudden in the past. But then later in the way of Rinpoche, appreciate if I do continue teach Dharma, do, in the activities of he requested, and those make I more, grateful, my teachers. So therefore is then continue, in the Dharma teachings like that. So therefore is for me, I don't know, and anyone else, but the most time when I lose my loved ones, and especially with my teachers, and then always they feel something is I personally is lost in someone who I rely upon, spiritually, worldly, whatever that be, and that part is very difficult. But the other hand, as I mentioned, his own Jigme Phuntsok like that, and when you prayers and Guru Yoga practice, then there's a certain time I never feel in the lost my teachers. I never feel, even now, he's on Jigme Phuntsok almost to pass in 20 years. I never feel I lost him. I never lost. And that was my illusion, That was totally my illusion. And so therefore is for all of us and our teachers, when it's past, there is things when we teachers request. One is His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok when before he passed Nirvana, and he gave 2 sentences for his students. One is said, don't lose your own dignity. And the second one said, don't disturbing others' mind. So we were very careful to take that in our heart and otherwise. Then after that, there's no any worldly teachings or any, like that. That his last his words. And don't lose your own dignity. You are Dharma practitioners to practice no matter what. You are Tibetan, in the Tibetan language, your culture, whatever that. You're American, you are American. You have your own language, your culture, your own, lifestyle. But don't disturbing others' mind, and the very powerful message in many ways, Then because if you are realization, you are Nyingma practitioners, and like myself, I have my own Nyingma dignity, and but with that, I'm never disturbing other traditions, right? There's no reason to be criticism or other traditions, belittle or anything. So therefore, it's so much meanings about these 2 last message in the giving by my teacher or lived by my teacher. So therefore, it's because so now I would say that, and my teachers, great of realized masters, and as long as I practice accordingly, then Guru Yokas, I never feel in the teacher separate from me, even in the moment. So therefore, I know you too, because I'm sure many of you lose your teachers, and recently like Gyatro Rinpoche and Lama Zopa Rinpoche and like Katog Getse Rinpoche as mentioned, then many great masters, and they are aging, and they are in the pass away, just like anybody else, like Buddha himself, Guru Rinpoche, or Yekim Tsorgyal, or any Honchin Ramjim, Jigme Lampa, and then Dunjong Lampa, the great of, in the Vijayadhara of Tibet. And you can count all these great realized masters. And their body is just our body, human body, elements. So therefore, is their elements body will dissolve into elements, just like anyone else. But when we have this devotion and the faith towards our guru, the guru never separate from us. So that is for certain, and my friend Kampo Kunzang, and who is great of, and master realizing practitioner, hard disciple, he's on Jigme Phuntsok. Some of you here, I know to meet him in Tibet. And for he mentioned one time we have a group and attend his teaching from California, from Washington. We went in Tibet, Kesar Palace, and he giving in the Bodhisattva teaching, and for I think 3 days. And so there's no English translator. After his teaching, I did a little bit translator some people. But Rinpoche that time mentioned he almost 20 years and with his own Phuntsok and study and practice, of course. But he said how much he received after his illness passed away, and through his vision, through his dream, how much teachings he received from his own Jigme Phuntsok. And when Jigme Phuntsok life, and he said, more I receive in teachings, empowerment from and through my vision, or you call through my dream. And that is because levels differences. There's many levels, many realms, the way we can communicate with our teachers when we have a right view, we have a right devotion. And so therefore, when you lose your teacher, physically it's a nature. We are separated. Everything will be separate. And ourselves will be separated from this world. And our teachers separate from us. Our loved ones separate from us. But the continuity of their consciousness for, the omniscience, our teachers, and continue and maintain, continue there. So therefore, is as long as our devotion faith, our teachers never really, I mean, I don't know what the English called to death, in Tibetan called Chua. In Tibetan Chua have, I think, different meanings than America death. But in the, you know, like, one, I think somebody mentioned and recently, Dalai Lama said, everybody dead, but no, everybody is dead, but nobody dying, or something like that. And everybody die, but nobody dead. Okay, everybody's die, nobody dead. So that is something like that. That's important because that means we physically, like, you know, in every year you in front of your garden, those trees leaf change. The trees produce fruit, but then it's fall, they're gone. Winter, no produce. Spring, they come back. You know, like that. So therefore, and when we have that view, then even our teachers, when they pass away, it's to the grief, the, you know, the sadness, and there. Isn't that the nature? But when you do that, then you use that transform into practice, into transform to devotion, faith, and to particularly to practice for Dharma. Then because the loss of your teacher become the great of your continued teacher. Because otherwise we lost our teacher, then, oh, poor me, you know, I lost my teacher, what I do now, I don't have anybody. That's not any beneficial, not so much benefit. But teachers' advice, teachers' teachings, teachers, you know, the instructions, the enlightened advices, those is continue within us. Those we can apply. You more miss your teacher, you become more great practitioner. That's for sure. Then your teachers continue remain, you see? Because when you not practice, you said, oh, I lost my teacher. No, you stopped, you practice the Dharma. Then you totally lost your teacher, unfortunately. But when you lost your teacher, that is become more endurer in order to practice Dharma. This is in, oh, now I don't have a teacher, but I do have teachers' teachings. So those is become more stronger than when the teacher is alive. Then your teacher is alive, continue more alive in you. And so therefore is for the teacher, conversation about lose a teacher, for my advice, and for anyone who loses teacher, when you practice and continue the teacher's teaching, and then teacher you never lost. And because the practice becomes stronger, then your devotion stronger, your teacher's blessing is more stronger. When we teachers life, it's because we are human being. They are human being. So we have a concept. We use this human concept towards our teachers. When teachers pass away, they are not physically there, you can judge. So therefore, you can have a special awakening in there in order to connect with a much more deeper of realization with your teacher. Physically, you cannot judge anymore. Now you only mentally connected with through your devotion, through your faith, through the trust, the teachings of your teacher taught. Then the teacher's blessing is become more stronger, and then even teacher alive. That is because I guarantee for you, because otherwise we said, oh, I lost teacher, then you lost your practice, then you really lost. So that is because the difference is how we view for when we lost our teacher, and our family friend when we lost, and our teacher lost. And I would say teachers not lost, teachers in descent into us. And when we understand, because their teachings there, you know, and our realizations still continue there, because continue is maturing, we are continue growth, and that is growth within in our teacher. So therefore is that part and how we view to teacher lost and the spiritual way. Then as a worldly way, I mentioned in myself, I lost my teachers. It's a feel like I really lost the world, the lost for the treasure, the lost everything in that kind of feel. That very painful if we look at that. And that is all when I look myself, is due to my own self-grasping and my attachment, my clinging, when I understand. So therefore, I put those substances, substance of my attachment, my aversions, and then if I put a little faith there, little devotion, little and the wisdom teachings into those places of my attachment, my clinging, my grasping, then because slowly my change of the losing of the teacher or the losing of my spiritual guide or my spiritual mentor or something like that, when I losing that kind of sadness, going transform into wisdom, into awakening, into a light, then only because what is you will come and you are more gratitude, more appreciate you have such an opportunity to meet amazing teacher in your life. Then you more goes in your years, more you older, you will more appreciate for your teacher and the connection with that teacher. That is my own experiences, and that is not, something theoretically talking or medical or some kind of philosophically. I'm not trying to talk that. That is because our own experiences. That's your experience. That's my experience. That's anyone who you can ask their experiences. So therefore, is a teacher losing is something very, very different than our loved ones. Then anyway, like when we lose our loved ones, when we understand not just only our loved ones, but one day our own self, and will go separate from permanent separate from this world. And so therefore is to study impermanent, to understand the nature of the reality, and to accept the nature of the all thing, nature of reality. So therefore is in Buddhism impermanent, the foundation of our practice. And the Buddha said everything impermanent because everything is interdependency, everything nature of emptiness. Why everything nature emptiness? Because everything nature is selflessness. So therefore, is especially when you have go to the view, the direction of understand emptiness, then you go to deeper than impermanent. Then you understand emptiness. That is also give you opportunity to evoke about this, understand the selflessness. That level when you get, you obtained the freedom of death. Right? There's no death when you understand emptiness. There is no, when you understand your selflessness or entitylessness, there's no entity, self-entity, entitylessness,
entitylessness. Entitylessness.
Yeah, entitylessness. When you realize that, you are merged like the space. The space have no of concept of death, right? But when you don't get there, then you are living by the conditions. We are living by factors and conditions. The conditions when we lose, we can call lose or death and birth and aging, and the second is all this concept, separation, all this. When you go to the original of your, awareness, the original, the primordial, and go to inherent nature. And when you get there, then you can free from death. And then there, what Milarepa said, there's no longer to afraid of death because I obtained the ultimate avoid of death. Because talking about realization. So therefore, as we humans have the potential discovering the ultimate truth. So therefore, when you have a realization of the death is temporary concept, like, and conditional, then our true nature is deathless. When we get that, then death is not something scary, right?
We have some questions.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much. First is, please tell us the name of the text of Guru Rinpoche instructions and visualization that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, thank you. This is the book. That is in the book. It's called Pardo Tutor Chimu Churkur Shodik Jukso. And the mending Guru Rinpoche's teaching after after Guru Rinpoche, Karma Lampa, who is revealed the teaching of Guru Rinpoche, mainly these all we could sometimes literal translator called hearing liberation. Sometimes the translation Tibetan book of dying and something like that. And really is a tutor chimo, and hearing liberation of the book, the Guru Rinpoche. And so in the Karma Lampas and Treasure, for this translated, I don't know, but the pieces here and there, so many translators, they're translated, and because when it's a Tibetan book and the dying and translated, I think Vajrayana first translation in Europe or somehow is it the Bardo teaching is I think first translation came in the world, and I think West world.
It's not the Bardo Tadal, it's not the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Tibetan Book of Dead is because everybody is called Tibetan Book of Dead. There's, Sorgir, Dalai Lama, the Chögyam Trungpa, and so many. And so therefore it's because they're all called Tibetan Book of Dead. But this is, and the Bardo teachings of Guru Rinpoche and the regional Karma Lampas, the treasure of Tibetan Book of Dead. It was that, and then first chapter, there's called chapter of the Mundo preliminary teaching of Bardo teaching, and there is the precious human life impermanent, and the second impermanent. Wonderful meditation.
So this book is not necessarily translated into English.
I don't know exactly for me, but I'm sure they are somewhere, somebody. And how authentic the translators, I don't know, because that's my problem. Because in ancient times, and Tibetan translators have rules, and then now translators have no rules. Whatever they want to translate, and they can translate. Yeah. So anyway, that's not my business because I'm not translator. And but as a Dharma teacher, really seriously concerned, and authentic these regional Tibetan books. We Tibetans don't say we have copyright all the Tibetans, but the Tibetan regional, the Dharma books, these treasures, we do aspiration prayers and hoping translators carefully to translate, the best to work Tibetan, scholars. And otherwise, it's a little bit disappointing and lost the two meaning of the teachings, and everybody translate in Tibetan books to English. But we do prayers. Other than that, we don't have any right to anything. But we do prayers to translators carefully to translate. If any translators here, please be careful and put energy in time and practice. Most important translator, good translator have to be good practitioner. And otherwise, there's no way you can be translator if you are not a good practitioner, because translator is not words to words, it's meaning. So therefore, our great masters, translators, they are level with Guru Rinpoche, like that. And very high realizing, like, lots of our you see all these Berotsana or Marbalotsa, any translators, they are themselves Vijayadaras. Anyway, yeah.
Rinpoche, so before we go on to the other questions, someone has just offered that they can look at the Bardo Tadal chapter 4.
Yes.
For this particular instruction. So
Yes.
everyone can know this, the Bardo Tadal or the Tibetan Book of the Dead, chapter 4. Someone just suggested that would be helpful.
Yes, you can go in the chapter in the beginning in chapter I think 3 or chapter 4. When you look at that, there's a preliminary teaching, and the preliminary teaching of Bardo. Preliminary teaching of Bardo. In that, when you go, there's a meditation of impermanent. That meditation permanent, it will tells the story I before show you. And the two mouse, red, white mouse, black mouse, and somebody in the cliff, the graceful, and that exactly that story in there, that is an unmistaken, the chapter, the mouse story, okay? The mouse story.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's another question. In the American culture, it seems like people often withdraw from each other when someone dies, or when we learn we are dying. People think they don't know what to say. This often causes more suffering. How can we learn to support each other?
Right. That's I always mentioned very important. I mean, it's different culture, different society, different community. Because in Tibet we have in the community, and it's easy to support each other because the monastery monks, the monastic people involved, and then the family, friend, neighbors, everybody involved with somebody lose their loved ones, and they're always in 49 days, and the people who helping, and they're talking about it. They can share the stories. They're talking about the person. This way they can deal their grief. But here in America, especially modern life, it is really complicated. I think people dealing with and and the dead are dying. One is we don't have enough community. We don't have a good community because if you are in the part of a sangha, part of a church or something, maybe a little bit there. If you are like you say atheist or something like living in town or in the busy in the street, whatever that, and there's no really even the neighbors, it doesn't matter, 10 years they are a neighborhood, they are living in their apartment each other, but never say hi each other. And how in that moment somebody show up and to hey, you need help, we are here for you, it's rare, difficult, because the way of we and our and to raising in our humanity, the way of facing in our human, and community. I was worried about that. I really do, because when I would live in the Berkeley for a while, and there's somebody is very generous to leave me in their apartment, upstairs, downstairs, next, left, almost no one say hi to you. They just quickly come close to the door and go inside, watch TV. And so that is very unfortunate, because those people not belong any particular community, no church, no temple, no monastery. Therefore they die alone. Then when you lose your loved ones, you are alone. So therefore, that part is I was worried about how our humanity. So therefore, I always think sangha is very important, and to help each other, community, to in this kind of difficult times, to see each other, to talk each other, go visit more often, things like that. So those is because what is we in long term we can help, and remember we are social animal. We are not robot. That's I want to humans to understand. We are a social animal. We need to social. We need to community. Whatever community you belong, to show yourself in the community when you are healthy, when you are happy, when everything's good. And that time you need to show yourself in the community and to be part of the community. And then when you need to talk, to ask help the community, because help each other, everybody is not made of, and like indestructible vajra. So that means everybody need help, everybody, and trends, everybody, routines. And so therefore, this time you help somebody. The next time when somebody help you, that's all to goes. When you are fun, everything, you don't need help, then you're not going to help somebody. When you need help, then you expect them to help you. That's not works. That's not interdependency works. That's not karma works. So therefore, is here in generally, and my suggestion, and always to, you as much to participate when people have a struggle, difficult to lose their loved ones. I guarantee those people will come to you, and when you need, that's how things to works. When you don't show yourself, anyone who they're going to ignore, okay, I don't want to really talk about, their sadness and something like that. And that is not Bodhisattva's works. And so therefore is when somebody lose loved ones, when somebody sad, somebody with difficult times, we need to say, hey, you want to go tea, you want a coffee, can I bring something? And do you want to talk about it? I'm here for you, things like that. And it helps in the people's grieving, and then talk. It's when we are not talking and we then poison, we holding inside and then becoming sick, and our emotion eventually spread in our physical. Then we do, when people don't know how to, they're unspiritual people are not spiritual, and the view or path. When they're very sad, when they lost loved ones, they drink, they drug, then, then they go away, they sell the house and lose their, job. Those is because the people who have no skillfuls, there's no method, there's no spiritual help, right? Then spiritual people, especially Dharma people I know, their attitude, even they're sad, even they miss their loved ones, they have a different proof, different move, different attitude towards. Then they can do virtues. Okay, now my loved ones are gone, I'm live. So I'm, everything's okay. I'm live, I'm live. So it's more important the person who is passed away and the dead. So now I can do as a believer karma. Now I do virtues to cause. Virtues, I do, wholesome activities for the sake of my loved one, my friend, my family member, my neighbor, whoever that be, or my pet. And then you do wholesome activities. Every time you do wholesome activity for the sake of your loved ones, every time the biofeedback, oh, I done something good for my loved one. And then you do things like that, release animal to generous for, something for monastic or whatever that be, just give something for homeless and dedicate that merit for your loved one. And anything you do, some kind of virtuous activity, each time when we do that, and there's some kind of biofeedback, and we done something good for our loved one. And then usually when we do, when our loved ones in life, when we have partners, when we give coffee or tea, and at that moment we want to, they respond back, thank you, honey, I appreciate, okay, like that. We always have some kind of exchange, their expectations. When somebody is gone, then it's whatever we do, dedicate for them. There's no way something expecting worldly, samsarically, respond to back. So therefore, is our heart has become more pure than when their lifetime we do something, and much more authentic and much more noble in our heart. So that gives us to opportunity to healing and our, sadness, and to become that virtue, that wholesome, that merit, that altruistic, and become medicine in order to our sadness. And that way, I think we can heal. And then, sometimes people think, oh, I'm tough, I'm not grief. And I don't think, I sometimes tell people, you're a bad person because you don't sad, you don't, and when you don't sad, when you lost loved ones, it's not you're a good person, But then you sad, you drink alcohol, drink, and take a drug, then you are stupid. So what you can do is you are sad, you lost your loved one, it's separate, that's difficult because you have attachment. Understand, everybody understand, you should have attachment. You are living in the world of attachment. So therefore you have attached, is okay. But now is this attachment, if you need to use as skillful means, and how you can make it benefit to continue for yourself and for your loved ones. And when you lose, Now you need to right move for your own well-being, the well-being of the consciousness of your loved one. So for that, virtuous activity. Yeah, so then you right move, you smart and you care. You smart and you care. You good person and you also smart. So that is important. And sometimes the people who don't sad when they lose their loved ones, that person is not a good character and not a good human character. That's me personally judge, and that's I can be wrong. But you don't care, really? That's not right, because that's your loved one. That's either your father, mother, sister, brother, children, whoever that, husband, partner, because now you need to care more than before. Now you need to think about this Bardo journey, next life. You need to do a lot of virtuous activities towards that person. And then you are a good human being. You care, you do as the right thing for that person. So those is important. That is what I believe. Huh?
Rinpoche, we have one more question there's time for one more question. There's actually more than one, but we only have time for one. The question is, are there any positive aspects to impermanence?
Oh, absolutely. Impermanent is awakening. Impermanent is give you hope, freedom. It basically impermanent give you a freedom from disturbing emotions. Why you have disturbing emotion? You have no wisdom of impermanent. So therefore, you literally reflect with that, the object or disturbing is permanent. Then that object become weapon. How you project, how you perceive the disturbance, because depend your view. You have impermanent view, just everything momentarily changes. Everything due to its conditions, everything living by factors. So there's nothing you can, let your mind distracted by words or wrongdoing somebody, because you have impermanent view. So therefore, impermanent is impermanent to give you choice of freedom. Impermanent to give you opportunity to, peace, relaxation, prosperity. Why we don't always, some people think no matter what they have, still not contentment. Still is not satisfied even their possession, their wealth, their life, because that person no clue about impermanent. So therefore, it's become more and more richer, more and more powerful, more and more become this and that, Then it's not enough my eye, not enough my hair, not enough something surgery, dye the hair, shaving, cutting, all the time. Everything doing because you don't have non-permanent. So therefore, the object of sensory, object totally control you. So everything sensitive, everything is a weapon. Everything is like almost like a foreign. Oh, this hurt, that painful, that is terrible, that is not good, yeah? But you have impermanent, as I mentioned, said impermanent, then why impermanent? Is emptiness. Why emptiness? Is selflessness, remember? So therefore, there's no exist any entity of the disturbing object. Then how disturbing your mind? Who can disturbing your mind? Your mind is undestructible. So therefore, it's that way, impermanent, the realization impermanent is construction emotion, not destruction emotion. So therefore, it's a study more impermanent according Buddhism, according Mahayana, according Vajrayana. Then you know what's impermanent. So therefore, impermanent meditation, impermanent reflection, impermanent study. So every Lama and the Phuntsok Ramjam, one Phuntsok Ramjam's disciple, and Kathok and said, before I leave from here and from you, my root teacher, give me one the most important teaching, Pita instruction, something I can hold in my heart forever. That the deepest the profound teaching. And I want you give me today, because maybe I'm, I'm just Central Tibet. The disciple come from the East Tibet. So that time is very far, it's walking. So that person said, perhaps I'll never see you again. I never, able to back and to come here to see, receive teachings. That time there's no Zoom, no phone, no call, and just you need to be in person with your teacher. So somebody come from East Tibet to go in the Central Tibet to receive the teachings of Hongchen Ramja. That's a big deal, lifetime opportunity. So then he said, now I'm going to back in my region. If one thing you teach, whatever that be. Hongchen Ramja said, oh, my final words, meditate impermanent. Impermanent. Impermanent give we enter the doorway for the Dharma. Impermanent to give you the contentment, impermanent to give you our true treasure of collect true treasure of realization the moment your death. If you not meditate impermanent, when time come to death, you don't achieve anything. You die with where you come, like that. You go single, body, go back, where you come from, like that. There's a meaning in the teaching taught, but basically he said, just meditate impermanent. Impermanent to give you realization, impermanent to give you devotion, impermanent to give you loving kindness and compassion. So therefore, just meditate impermanent. So therefore here, thank you. I'm really happy to see you all and have the opportunity in the talk. My talks I told yesterday, and no idea what I'm talking. And I never prepared, but I teaching from my heart and for my teachers' pith instructions, because that's all works. If I prepare many reading books philosophically, you don't have the time to listen that. I don't have time, because we need time in order to teaching Buddhism philosophies, because this book have 7-8 pages, maybe 1,000 pages both sides. We see how many pages of this book. This book is 49 pages. You don't have that time to listen, and I don't have that time to teaching. Each page we talk, we need months to commentary explanations. So therefore, it's the best is for all of us to, from what I learned from my teachers, what is the best shortcut. And but then those things, what I taught, if something's a benefit makes sense, something useful, then you need to think over and until you really get it. If there's no make sense, then I really don't mind. You don't care anything, just live there. After we finish this zone, then we finish our deal, There's nothing, yeah? If something you think today's our conversation, something makes sense, something maybe little common sense. I don't expect never when I talk, people listen everything, they hear everything what I said. One is my English is very poor. Second is because, I'm not the perfect speaker. I very over when I speak. But I know there's something can benefit somebody for my words, because those is my teacher's word. That's my lineage's words. Those from Buddha's word. So therefore, it's because I know there's something somebody can learning and the benefit. So therefore, it's my motivation in order to teach these or any places. Always I correct and I pray my gurus and to benefit somebody who hear, listen, and that means benefit or not. It's not up to me after this. Yeah, after we Zoom ended, I leave from the Zoom. Is it then after that? It's up to you, right? Up to you. So therefore, is then, impermanent, something makes sense. What our conversation recorded, listen again and again if you can. And don't think you're wasting time, because I really think this is a very treasure, valuable. And one day, the end of the day, if you have something self-confident, you have realization, you have faith, your guru, I know you will be appreciating me that time. And if you don't, have anything, then there's an appreciate, perhaps you never remember even my name, in that time. And but if you do something and if you practice, you just not remember your teacher's name, then that time you are truly grateful, your teacher. You met the teacher. Now you know what we're talking about, the Dharma, talking about the Buddha, the qualities, what's the compassion. Now the compassion, what it means to you individually, when that time, when the compassion, Buddha's compassion emerged to you, now we know what the compassion is really like. Until then, we think compassion, somebody says, sorry, I'm sorry you fall. I'm sorry you headache. But with real compassion in our last journey, last breath, that time realization when you have, now you know real teachers care, the compassion, the opportunity you have. Now you know what's compassion. That's I learning, and I know my teacher's compassion is not just giving me sometimes some money or some, say, oh, Lakshey Zangpo, you're doing wonderful. I'm sorry you lose your father. I'm sorry, you headache. I think, yeah, that's, it's wonderful. But I don't think that's compassion. If I free from my afflictive emotions, when I free from my fear of death, when I obtain the perfect Buddhahood, that is giving to by in the greater compassion of my teachers. So that's how I feel, okay? So thank you, everybody, to meet you, to talk with you.